It's a new one called Ain't Your Business.
How do we get started? I think, like most bands, out of boredom, and we definitely, one of the incentives was that there was absolutely nobody doing what we were doing out there, and there was a vacuum that needed to be filled, ironically by a pussy, so by yet another hole. There was a hole that needed to be filled, and we did it. We were living in Nashville at the time, and as far as like rocking women went, it was vacuous at best, and it turned out that it wasn't just there; it was worldwide. So that's about it. I mean, I just assumed that by the time I think we started the band when I was like 27, I was assuming that there was going to be about 50 other chicks out there rocking their asses off by then, and even still now, you know, you can still probably count them on one hand. So there's definitely a need. And we actually performed our first show as Hell's Half Acre, which was the line that we got out of Colonel Sanders' autobiography. That's where he built his first KFC, was in an area of town known as Hell's Half Acre. And the only people that knew that reference were both Blaine's grandmother and mine. They're like, one lived in Prince George and the other one lived in Henderson, Kentucky, and they were both like, oh, we had Hell's Half Acre where we lived. Like, it was like it was like Skid Row. It was synonymous with that. And then, but the day that we performed as Hell's Half Acre, we had discovered that Robbie Robertson had an album out called Hell's Half Acre. It was a band from Portland, a hippie band called Hell's Half Acre. It was like 1,000 references, and I was like, fuck it. And we had come up with Nashville Pussy in the meantime, and like, so we announced to our crowd of 20, you know, that we're no longer Hell's Half Acre, we're now Nashville Pussy. Newest album from Hell to Texas is recorded at Willie Nelson's Perdonella's studio, and it was a joyful experience. We had Gordy Johnson from Big Sugar / Grady was our engineer, so he's down with the big guitar sound. And this is probably the first time in Nashville Pussy history where I didn't have to ask them to turn the guitars up. In fact, I think they might be a little too loud, which is not a bad thing. But it was a great recording experience, and I don't know, man, it's a hell of a rockin' album, so we're real happy with it. Yeah, on the last day that we were there, we did a photo shoot on he's got a little ghost town, Population Willie, and it's called Luck, Texas, so when you're there, you're in luck. And we were doing this photo shoot, and we saw him pull in his pickup truck and go to the one place with electricity and crank out listening to Willie Nelson music. And we could see that he was serving drinks to his buddies and stuff. And we're like, man, how do we get in there? So we just poked our heads in and said, you know, hey, thanks for, you know, letting us shoot out here and record in your studio. And he's like, y'all smoke? And we're like, hell yeah! And that was it. We came on in, and he had a big old vaporizer and passed that thing around like Buddha. It was fucking fantastic. And even though the members of the crew and stuff that didn't smoke, they smoked that day. And we had a bottle of tequila for the photo shoot that we'd already drank like half of it. And so we passed the bottle around with Willie, and it was stellar. It was like being touched by God, you know. It was up there with meeting Lemmy the first time. It was like, you know, the two gods. You can't argue with either of these guys, man. They're both like, you know, ethics at the ass. So.
I saw you at Whackin'. Could you maybe briefly describe your Whackin' and
the Whackin' experience?
When you Whackin'd it?
Oh, that was fucking great, man. I don't know. Whackin' was fabulous. What was there? Like, there was a lot of people there. You could barely see the lawn. That was amazing. And then yeah, I climbed the rig before the guy from Airborne did. An hour before he did it. And I made it all the way to the top. He stopped and did a chin-up. And then he went back down. Plus, he's got a fucking wireless. I did it with a cable. final word for Canadian fans from Nashville Pussy. I don't know. We love Canada. You know, I'm from here. Well, I'm the Canadian content of the band, and fucking love it here. Our Canadian experience this time has been fabulous. We've avoided the weather so far. Still have to do Whistler, and I've managed to eat pierogies 4 times, and I had a lot of bran muffins and butter tarts. Those are all my Canadian, and poutine, of course. Those are all my Canadian. I have to nail all those things, or I have not been here, and have to leave with a box of Shreddies and Smarties and wine gums. I have to be here at least a week, otherwise I'd be like, if it was like 1 gig, I'd get really fat. Like and fish and chips too. Yeah, I covered like all those. This is Ryder from Nashville Pussy, and you're watching Absolute Underground TV. Can you show this? Or at least you were watching it. Now I'm ready for my show.